Hello everyone and welcome back to the MattVidPro AI YouTube channel. Now this right here folks is a very big moment in the history of AI. This is the first time we get access to an actual somewhat high quality AI video generator. And no, it is not OpenAI's Sora, it is Runway's Gen-3 Alpha. It just went public. So that means anyone can access the Runway website and use the Gen-3 video generator. Now, obviously, I am incredibly excited for this. Not only am I a huge fan of AI as a whole, well, making videos, as is pretty obvious from my YouTube channel, it's something that I very much like to do. Welcome everybody to the Gen-3 Alpha website. As you can see, things are pretty simple right off the bat. We've got Gen-3 Alpha, or we can go to the old Gen-2 model, and then we've got our prompt field. They do have a guide, which I'll check out for how to prompt Gen-3, but I just want to start off with something really simple. Close-up zoom shot of an orange tabby looking into the camera. And we can also change the duration from 5 seconds to 10 seconds, so I'm just going to do 5 seconds to start off. Let's click generate. Whenever you click the generate button, it puts you in a queue. Your video is in queue and will start in a few minutes. Okay, and our first video has been generated. It did take a few minutes, but once you wait in the queue, the actual generation time for the videos is quite fast. So I think the move here is to just kind of load up the queue with a bunch of prompts, which we will do in a second, but take a peek at the generated video. I mean, this is pretty good. It's quite a simple prompt that I put in, just like this close-up shot of a tabby cat, but it definitely looks like a tabby cat. The quality is absolutely there, and there's nothing really that strikes me about this being super AI generated-esque. I mean, you can tell a little bit as the camera shifts, I think, in his eyes, but it is a very close-up detailed shot, and I think it pulled it off fairly well. Not a whole lot of movement. I know that you guys like to see movement in your videos, right? That's what's impressive about the video generators, is when something crazy happens. So let's try some real prompts, not just a starter prompt. Alright, I am ready to load this thing up. First prompt, 3D animation. A lemon character wears sunglasses and relaxes on a windy tropical beach. He brings a drink to his mouth and takes a sip. Obviously, we're looking for something pretty specific. We're going to want to see that animation style. We're going to want to see a coherent character. The beach should be windy, so I'm hoping the trees are blowing in the background. And obviously, he's going to bring the drink to his mouth and take a little sip. So let's toss that one in. I think I put that one for 5 seconds. I'm going to try it again with 10 seconds and see if 10 seconds versus 5 seconds makes a big difference for a somewhat more complex prompt like this. This is a lot more complex. Medium shot cinematic. Man smiles at the camera, then proceeds to transform and melt into water. Obviously, this would be pretty difficult to create in real life. Lots of special effects. But for the AI, it might be no problem. We're going to do this on 5 seconds. Next up, we're doing an homage to Minecraft. First-person GoPro footage walking through a dark cave. Oars cover the cave wall. Left hand holds a bright flaming torch, and the right hand is holding a shining diamond sword. I'm going to put this at 10 seconds. Realistic handheld footage shot from a phone. First-person view walking up to a gray alien and shaking his hand in the woods. We're also going to try that at 10 seconds. And folks, some of our videos are generating now, so let's take a peek. So again, the style for this one was supposed to be 3D animation. Right off the bat, I will say that it kind of looks a little bit 2D-esque, but the lemon looks okay. He's definitely wearing sunglasses. He has a big old drink here, so let's see if he goes ahead and takes a nice sip of the drink. Me thinks he's probably not going to. Yeah, he's just sort of just chilling out and shaking his head. I mean, it's still a pretty cool little animation, but it doesn't look particularly windy, and he's kind of just hanging out with a drink. It's more of an animated photo. So this is the man that is smiling at the camera and then melting into water. Again, with this one, kind of didn't really work out in the best interest. He looks more like he's half underwater, and there's just like a weird water effect pouring down him. Still kind of cool looking, still impressive to be AI generated, but not exactly what we were looking for. Alright folks, here is our next lemon video. Again, not necessarily this 3D animation style. I think I might need to prompt it a little bit differently, maybe Pixar style or something like that. but you can see he kind of just pops up into frame there and then magically summons this drink, and then the drink kind of just sits there and he's just floating. So again, it's more of like a very simple 2D animation-esque. Clearly, the prompting needs a little bit more work to get the effects that we're looking for, and he's also not really taking a drink. However, I do like the fact that the water and everything is moving in the background. I think overall, the composition is pretty nice. Now we've got our Minecraft homage. This is probably one of the coolest generations yet. This was supposed to look like real GoPro footage, but as you can see from the numbers and everything, this looks more like video game footage. Still, nevertheless, this really, really impressed me and kind of blew my mind a little bit. You can see it's obviously some first-person video game footage of someone going through a cave. The cave is all shiny and metallic, which is really, really intriguing. One hand is supposed to be holding a torch, and the other is supposed to be holding a sword, but we kind of just got this weird 3D hand thing that's holding, like, this flaming torch, I think, in one hand, but it's really, really cool to see the reflective walls of the cave. I mean, it's so interesting. You can also see, like, obvious HUD pop in and out of view here. I think negative prompt would be able to take care of some stuff like this, or maybe even some video in-painting, which is a feature that Runway does already have built in. So this one might be able to be cleaned up fairly easily, but it's just so cool to see, like, this 3D space that looks somewhat realistic, but also not at the same time. I mean, imagine a future where you can have a video game that has its frames actually generated in real time, which means there is no limit to what the graphics could possibly look like for that video game. Again, this is kind of a peek into that future almost. As I stated earlier in the video, they do have this Gen 3 Alpha prompting guide, so there's a bunch of information in here, and I thought, you know, this is probably really great to read through. I'm obviously going to link it down below, but come on, guys, we're living in the era of AI. I can just paste all of the text in here, so a large language model can actually understand how it all works. So now that Claude 3.5 Sonnet has digested all this for me, based on the guide, write me an enhanced version of this prompt, and I'm going to try this 3D animation style prompt with that good old-fashioned lemon character. Okay, and boy oh boy did Claude 3.5 Sonnet ever write a prompt. Let's go ahead and copy this. Let's put that in, sure. Okay, well, it looks like this prompt was a little too long. Good, but we only have a max of 500 characters. Okay, that's a little bit better. So let's see if a large language model fueled by the Gen 3 prompting guide can get us better results. Oh, and by the way, our little alien video did finish generating. This one, I gotta say, already looks really horrifying. So these kind of just walking in a first-person view through the woods. There's this scary alien thing just kind of standing there, and oh, a handshake just happens right in front of us, right in front of the alien. So yeah, you can kind of see how it misinterpreted that. We zoom over to the alien and then a handshake just occurs right on the screens. It's kind of funny. You're supposed to be shaking hands with the alien, but I think that the alien looks kind of scary realistic. I mean, it clearly looks fake. It clearly looks like fake footage, but it's not too far off, and it kind of looks somewhat normal in the scene, and it's just crazy that we can make videos like this and tell stories using AI-generated video. Think about how you would produce this in real life. How are you going to track, like, a 3D character that doesn't actually exist in a real world? This requires a lot of 3D animation skill, it requires camera movement skill, and now you don't have to worry about this. You just have your Gen 3 account, and you make the video happen. I also gotta say that this is a pretty incredibly detailed scene, and the trees and everything look pretty alright. There's a little bit of mushiness and stuff around. It's not that clear, but for as much detail as we see, this looks quite good. So since that one was kind of like a failure, let's go ahead and copy the prompt, and we'll enhance it. Toss that one in and let it generate. Let's try coming up with just some brand new ones instead of enhancing the ones that we already came up with. Enhance this idea for me. I want to see documentary style video where a squid is typing on a computer underwater. Let's go ahead and paste that one in. I also want to see a cool shot of a hand opening up and a mini nuke explosion going off in his hand. All right, let's go ahead and generate this one. I think this one will be pretty cool. Essentially, like a hand comes in and just opens up and an explosion happens in the hand. I think that would be like something kind of cool to explore, you know? All right, now I want to do just like a basic cinematic shot of a hand running across some blades of grass in like a cinematic slow motion way. I think all of you have seen a shot similar to that in a movie before. All right, looks like our videos are now generating, which is pretty exciting. This right here is our redo of that alien footage, if you remember, and this one honestly came out pretty good, all things considered. I think reaching out and shaking hands with that alien is going to require a little bit more generations, but it's definitely a lot better. We kind of have this slow shot and like this creepy alien in the distance. And then all of a sudden, a hand reaches up and looks at the sky, and then it's just two hands shaking, essentially, is what happens. So, creepy alien just not really shaking his hand. I gotta say, though, it did get a lot of things in this more complex prompts, like kind of shaky handheld POV, realistic smartphone footage, misty woods at dusk, pine trees, tall, slender, gray alien with black eyes. It's a pretty close-up shot of the hand extending, too. It's just making, you know, the person and the alien shake hands is difficult. We did get that lens flare from the sun up there, which is pretty cool. Okay, and lots of camera movement with this one. Definitely a more impressive iteration here with the lemon character that's supposed to be taking a sip of his drink. We see it starts out wide here, and then it zooms in on the lemon, who just magically can fly, and he also kind of has like pineapple stripes on him for some reason, but then he kind of just touches down. Overall, though, still looks really cool. I like the fact that the background is slightly blurred, and it is in like a Pixar 3D animated style finally, and you can see the waves kind of crashing in the background, which is pretty cool to see. It definitely looks like 3D animation. It's just a little bit glitchy, a little bit weird with the rest of the things, like this is a clear hallucination, and he can't really sip a drink yet. It still has trouble making that part work. So that might be more of a Gen 4 task, or maybe Gen 3 as it leaves Alpha. We don't really know. Either way, though, I do like the reflections on the sunglasses. I like the overall aesthetic, and I like the simple and coherent movement. So I think one thing I'm noticing is that these more complex prompts that are designed by Claude 3.5 with the prompting guide are just a little bit too much for the video generator. You often also see this kind of thing happening with large language models when they prompt image generators too, and you can kind of see that there as it floats by. I mean, it's really, really cool that we can just generate something like this with a computer. I mean, that's just crazy, right? Like this shot right here, I mean, it's under the water. You don't really know what it is, so you could think it's real at first glance. Medium shot diver footage under the murky depths featuring a squid typing on a keyboard and looking at a glowing monitor. We'll enhance it a little bit. We'll say he's typing with his tentacles. We'll say the glowing monitor is illuminating the squid. And we'll put that one through. Oh, this is good, folks. Our little explosion palm generated. I'm hoping this one is really, really cool. All right, a hand reaches up, and then hopefully we see a nice explosion occur. Okay, pretty cool. Doesn't look like exactly the explosion we were looking for. We wanted something that looked a little bit more nuclear, but this is still really cool. There's some sort of a weird fragment on the hand there, but this is probably one of the best generations we've got so far today. Again, recreating something like this in real life would be pretty difficult to accomplish, and I have to say, that hand looks really, really good. Not really too much to say in terms of problems with it. I mean, it looks like a real video of a real hand moving up. I wouldn't be able to tell without examining really, really closely. We've also got our cinematic grass shot that I think looks pretty freaking awesome. The hand doesn't look as good here, and there's also some particles blowing around crazy. It looks like the hand just shot some crazy particles out of it. But, I mean, overall, it's still cool that we can create this. I don't know of another AI video generator that we have access to that can create pretty much any of the videos that we've seen today, and that's more of the point here. This is absolutely the best video generator, or the most fully fledged video generator we've ever gotten access to. Look at it shoot all those particles. I mean, this is why we like to explore these creative things, these surreal, concepts occurring. Even if a generation doesn't work out exactly how you expect, it's still very interesting. All right, now that we're this far into the video, I do want to get into a few more things. There is a settings page down here that we can take note of. We can essentially fix the seed to any number we want. And in this case, with the same exact prompt, it will generate the same exact video. This is a good feature to see because if we end up with a generation that's pretty good, like we saw with the hand, for example, we can just slightly tweak the prompt and use the same exact seed to hopefully get a better version of that same exact hand. Obviously, not going to work every single time, but slight tweaks with the same seed can be useful. Obviously, we've got the option to remove the watermark as well. And down here, folks, we do have the ability to set up custom presets, which is good if you're actually trying to create some sort of like a mini movie, let's say, with Runway's Gen 3. We click the Create New button, we can name the preset anything we want, and essentially it will be like a little prompt. So, for example, I could do something like this, title it 3D animation, and do the prompt 3D animation by Pixar and Disney, Blender, Cinema 4D, all of these other little taglines. I can click the Create button, and now I have this preset that I can apply to pretty much any prompt. So I can do something like prompt teddy bear washing dishes here. I can go down to my custom preset and click apply, and it will just put that in. So now it's a teddy bear with this 3D animation style also in the prompt. They're just little pre-prompts that you can apply at any moment and set up. So if you wanted to do, you know, custom camera angles, custom styles, all that kind of thing, the presets are great for that. Well, let's generate it, we might as well. So here's the video of the squid underwater, our retry of this, and I mean, maybe this is a little bit better. We've got a giant TV just sort of on underwater, and a diver is watching it with, I don't even know if I would call that a squid, that's more of like a jellyfish sea creature. Still, it's a really surreal and cool looking piece of video footage. The diver looks great, the bubbles look great. I find it pretty funny that the sea creature is also creating some bubbles, it seems, as if they are breathing out air. But yeah, it's a pretty funny shot. They're just sort of looking at a giant monitor screen like they might be about to game with each other or something. So here is our 3D animated teddy bear washing dishes. He's not really doing anything other than just sitting there watching, but we can see water pours down, and we could see that something that resembles a cup, I think, kind of appears from under this plate. So this one's kind of, again, not really the best example here, but still pretty cool that we can have this level of coherency and fidelity. Again, there's no doubt in my mind that not a single other image generator could even come close to even this, except for, of course, Sora, but Sora is not yet released to the public. So I've already blown through a decent amount of credits doing today's video, but I'm saving the rest of them for tomorrow, where I want to do a live stream with you guys where we test this thing out with your actual prompts that you suggest. So tune in tomorrow for that live stream. It will be linked down in this video description as well. And yeah, I'm sure it's pretty obvious and most of you know by now, but you do have to have access to a paid plan here starting at 15 bucks per month to use the Gen 3 Alpha. And personally, right now, I think it's worth it because this is the best AI video generator we have access to, and if you're, you know, an AI power user, you want to try out the latest and greatest, well, you're definitely going to be spending at least 15 bucks, and that only gets you about a minute of Gen 3 footage per month, which isn't much. Right now, I have the $35 plan, and again, I did use like pretty much 1/3 or so of my credits today, so I'm saving them for that live stream with you guys tomorrow, where you who might not have a plan can suggest prompts and I'll put them in and you can see them happen live. But yeah, I mean, you get a bunch of other things, but really the only reason I'd be paying for a plan for Runway right now is to get access to Gen 3. Still though, guys, it's not like there's anything better. Like I said, Sora isn't accessible to the public, it's not available through ChatGPT or anything, so there's no competition for Runway ML. As more competition springs up, these paid AI apps will get a lot cheaper. AI video generation in, let's say, 3 years probably won't cost much at all. So keep that in mind. The reason it's expensive right now is early adopter. We're just on the cusp of this bleeding edge. Anyways, folks, I want to dive into just a couple of community reactions here. Here's Emad, the previous CEO of Stability AI. This is a direct comparison to that kind of shell-shocking OpenAI Sora prompt where we've got this minute-long footage of a lady walking through, and honestly, Gen 3 is able to replicate it in a pretty good way. It's a good prompt of someone just sort of walking through the woods. It looks like good footage. It's a nice little video of someone walking through the city, and overall the shot is nice. I don't think it quite stacks up to this mighty impressive Sora generation that's, again, a minute long wide angle, and she is walking throughout the entire street, and then it cuts to a close-up. Like, this is really impressive stuff, but again, we don't have access to it. So the Door brothers, who has been having a ton of fun with Gen 3, shows off this really cool intergalactic runway or fashion show where we see all of these different kinds of creatures and, I don't know, aliens or whatever you want to call it. They're amalgamations essentially, and they're all showing off on these different runways as if it's this crazy intergalactic fashion show, and it's a very creative concept. You can see there's a lot of fun stuff going on here. There's really no limits to the kind of crazy things that can be generated with these new AI video generators, but specifically Gen 3 right now. Again, this has the most coherency, it has the most understanding of anyone that we have access to, so it's able to do fun creative projects like this. There's also no doubt in my mind that Door Brothers is going to be spending hundreds of dollars generating video with Gen 3. But that's good. Like I said, early adopters here are going to really test the waters, teach us the best way to prompt and use these things, and we'll really get an idea of what they're capable of. Again, don't forget, folks, Gen 3 also has the ability to do very coherent animated text and like intros, stuff like that. So here's a demonstration of this happening as well from Blaine. And also Always Generating, who is a Runway employee here, says, "Sleep tight, fellow explorers. Tomorrow is a new day." And I believe this was posted last night, so yes, it released today. So he was kind of hinting that Runway would release today, and sure enough, it absolutely did. I gotta say, it really did kind of blow my socks off. Runway's Gen 3 is awesome. It's the best video generator I've ever used. I think Sora is probably a little bit better, but again, we don't have access to Sora at all. OpenAI, where is it? We don't have access to it. So Gen 3 is our next best bet, and it's quite good. It's quite a lot better than every other video generator I've used. Again, look out for that live stream tomorrow, folks. Join my Discord server, and if you liked this video, please leave it a like. I'm MattVidPro AI signing off today, and I hope you continue to explore the future of artificial intelligence with me. Goodbye.